All right, we are live. We are live. Listen, this is an impromptu. I had to get on. I had to get on. You hear me? It's so much going on today. Listen, I know some of you already know about what happened last night on the at the Oscars. It was listen. I know you know. I know you know what happened last night. So listen, we are going to chat about it a little bit. And I want to bring my guest to the platform because this is definitely a hot topic this morning. And we are just jumping on. You know, this is a pop up. This is a pop up. And so let me bring my guest to the platform. I have one guest here who's an awesome woman, a queen, and the other queen is here somewhere, Alethea Brown. I don't see her. Maybe her camera is not on, and maybe Deborah, you can assist her with it. I'm going to put you backstage while you assist her with her camera. Listen, guys, this is going to be an awesome, quick show. It's a quick broadcast today because, listen, just the other day, I had Unveiled Unlocked Deborah Gray on. Here's my guest. Here they are. Here we go. Here we go. Here we are. Yes. Hello, my sisters. How are you guys doing
I'm
today?
good. How
Oh
are
my,
you?
I am so grateful that you popped on. I'm not going to hold you long, but I knew that this probably would touch your heart like it touched my heart. And it's just so ironic that I just had Deb on the other day to talk about this incredible topic that I believe needs to go viral across the world because there's so many women, men, children dealing with this. Even I have on a certain level. And so it's just, God knows everything, right? And the order of what and how he wants to put things out there. And it had been on my heart to talk to you guys, Unveil Unlocked, and talk to all of you beautiful queens about this whole crown situation for women. So today I really wanted to jump on as a pop-up because of what happened last night on the Oscars with Jada and Will and Chris Rock. Oh my God. So let's play the intro. Let the people see the intro for a second. And let's just get all right, all right, all right. Yes, raising the bar. Thank you, all of you on FaceTime, Facebook, and YouTube who are tuning in for this pop up. I wanted to bring this as a hot topic this morning because enough is enough, right? And
Right.
last night was just so, I mean, I don't know how many men know, most of them know that you do not talk about a woman's hair, head, or anything. And for some reason, Chris Rock decided to use Jada Pinkett Smith for his opener because he was actually getting ready to give an award. But this is something that's been brewing back from since 2018 when Chris opened up the Oscars when Jada had, I'm just going to read it. Chris Rock jabs at Jada Pinkett Smith Oscars for the second time. Shots fired in 2016 when Jada boycotted the 2016 Oscar ceremony. And Chris suggested in his opening monologue that the actress wasn't even invited to the show in the first place. And Jada got upset. Thus began the beginning of this behind the scenes, but kind of public, not so well relationship between them. I don't know what got into Chris to go back into the den and to use he has so much material. I don't know why he would do something like this. But last night was something. Last night when I saw how it affected Jada, I saw her face. I think at first Chris, I think at first Will kind of wanted to laugh it off a little bit, right? But I guess as soon as he saw his wife's face and it sat on him in that second,
Second.
he just in the heat of the moment, he just got up and smacked the living mess out
Yes.
of Chris. and it was a joke. He poked at his wife. You don't poke at somebody's wife in public. You don't talk about somebody's wife. And the joke that he used was, he said, and it's something that was on, it was about her hair. And Demi Moore played a character in 1997 in the movie G.I. Jane,
G.I.
right? And
Right.
so that is what he was alluding to and comparing her to, that, oh, we'll have, he says, I can't wait for G.I. Jane 2. Well, like,
And
really
what's that about?
inappropriate, inappropriate. And at that moment, you could see her face. You could see she, like, that hit her. That hit her heart. And then I saw Will kind of chuckle. Then I was like, he didn't get it. And then he got it. Hey, and then God bless you. Thank you for being here. She's always a supporter here on Bravo with Sheila. I didn't mention that Bravo with Sheila is a women's platform designed for women, to encourage them, to empower them, to help move them from pain to power and from power to victory, to educate them, to get them from a broken place and whatever it is. So this topic this morning definitely fits under the umbrella of Bravo with Sheila here. We're raising the bar. And so, as I was saying, as he says, he compares her and says, oh, we can't wait for G.I. Joe Jane 2. That was, that was bad, because most of us who are on the internet, most of us who are on the front line with Facebook and certain things, we know about the red table talk. We know that Jada exposed herself, what happened to her. And it was a time, and we're going to talk about this in a second, because I'm going to let you ladies really get into it. And she talked about how uncomfortable she cried. We saw the period where she wore nothing but turbans, or she wore hats, and then gradually she got enough confidence. I'm hoping she had a tribe to help her feel confident enough to come out with the beauty of her bald head, and she's still beautiful. And so the alopecia is what attacked her, but there's so many things that attack women for their crown and for their hair. And so I just had to jump on this one, because I had Deborah on, Mama, you guys call her, on the other night. When was it? Just a few nights ago, right? And
Right.
we broke down. I know, my sister, I know you were very busy out there. I know it. And I said, oh my God, I got to get the whole crew, because I'm always out there in Harlem Week. I don't know if you remember me. I'm out there
Yeah,
in
I remember
Harlem
your
Week when you
face.
girls are out there doing your thing, right? And I'm
Yes.
getting
Yes.
video, and everybody's running to the camera to talk to y'all. So I'm familiar with Unveiled Unlocked, right? And
Yes.
so today, real quick, I know you're tired, but we have to touch this. And I said, oh Lord, please let them give me favor and jump on. So welcome, ladies, from a portion of the ladies from Unveiled Unlocked. And you are the visionary out there.
Alethea.
Alethea.
Alethea. Alethea, you are the
Yeah.
visionary. And I mean, God bless you for God giving you this vision and allowing you to bring into your tribe and your community people who are going through the situation of their crown. Tell us a little bit about what you do. And then we're just going to jump in. I want to know what you feel about what he did, how he did it, and what she might be going through, both of you.
So initially, last night, I was in a studio working on some poetry and music, which is another layer of what we do with Unveiled Unlocked, is telling
Mhm,
these stories in different platforms. But
mhm.
also, I work with a producer that's been doing a lot of work with us, and we got the news flash in the middle of studio time, and
Whoa.
so I'm sitting there and I'm listening to the producer talking on the phone to the woman who called to share what just happened in the live. And I'm listening to the male perspective and I'm thinking about what Unveiled Unlocked started from, and we're going a full circle. One night I was pulling up at a traffic light and I had just shaved my hair off, and the gentleman that I was dating at the time had dumped me the day before my birthday because I had
Hmm.
shaved my hair off. I had locks. And in my tissue full of tears, I had never had that kind of emotional attachment to hair or an aesthetic, because I had tried so many things in my lifetime with different hairdos and different styles of dress that I never thought twice about whether somebody accepted or didn't. But what
Mm-hmm.
shifted me or shape shifted me was I realized the devastation that women who have never had the power behind them of a tribe of people who would encourage them and their beauty on the inside. And I said, well, if this is what devastation feels like, now
Mm.
I can understand wholeheartedly why women go through such severe layers of pain and self loathing for so many years. And
Mm-hmm.
that was what really launched me wanting to do this platform. And then I began to ask men and women in the public, have you ever dated a woman with no hair? Or
Ah,
what you felt about a woman with no hair? And surprisingly heard a lot of positive things that men said and a lot of deep reflection. So last night, when I saw the pain on Jada's face, and I
mm.
reflected at that moment when I had that pain, and it was just for a moment where I've seen women who had a lifetime of that. It was a necessary thing to really take this stigma and sting off of the emotional depth that people go with self-loathing. You have to co-sign on it for that to really launch. So someone
Mm.
can't put shame on you unless you actually believe some of that has truth. Because you know how you have that moment of confidence where nobody can
Yes.
touch or penetrate you?
Yes.
When it starts penetrating you, it's the toll that's taken over years and
Ah,
time. And it's not just one thing and it's not just one layer. So what happens is there's an inner dialogue going on. I saw when also Will Smith had that moment where he laughed it off as a joke, and
right.
then we saw the pain on her.
Right.
When men are in love with their women, they want to be protectors. And he
Yes.
had a split second to decide what to do to make her pain subside even for a moment. And so
Yes.
I feel it was in poor taste that he had to do what he felt he needed to do, but he
Mm-hmm.
could have had a bigger platform had he waited until he was at that mic getting his award to really now address that, because
I
then the
think
resounding
that's
effect of
true.
it would have had a
True.
different spring other than the way we're going at it now. And it's
Yeah.
going in the direction of judgment of whether he should have, could have, would have. And we understand
Right.
he was protecting her, but protection has a different layer if you use your platform more eloquently to really execute how it's not acceptable to verbally assault any of us for any reason,
Yes.
not for the point of making people laugh, not for the moment of just having some material. It's the deeper issue than what we even understand sometimes in a split second. I
Yes.
get why he felt the need to do it, but
Mm-hmm.
I also understand that in a split moment, like you said, in the heat of a moment, people
Yeah.
take an action and
Yeah.
react.
Yeah.
But the
And it was a
response should
buildup.
have been different.
And it was a buildup from the prior
That's why I said it's not
comment.
one thing. It wasn't
Yeah.
just that moment. It was there were other plaguing moments that led
Yes.
up to this. So the culmination of this is what
Yes.
brought that action. Could he have
Yes.
done it differently and it would have had a bigger impact? None of us would ever say he couldn't have,
True.
because he reacted.
He did.
Responding to it would have been a better action,
Yeah.
because he had the power of that microphone later on when he was in tears about
Yes.
apologizing. You wouldn't have had to apologize like that had you used your platform in a wiser way, because
Yeah.
then you could have had the soundbite to really go viral about it's unacceptable for us to use the power of that microphone and position in a
Yeah.
way that's misdirected anger about other things that really we need to take the time to understand.
Yeah.
When someone is in a crisis, we don't use them, we don't abuse
Yes.
them, we don't misuse that microphone, because it has a resounding power on other levels.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's why I wanted to bring you guys on, because right now, I don't want to say the world, but we know the world at large is talking about this. And some people are saying, oh, he deserved it. Some people are saying, well, what we're talking about, right? We all have our opinions, but also the aspect that with the way that Will handled it, I think maybe from back in the day, from 2018, as this has been boiling between them, they're actors. They could have kind of squashed this or had a conversation with Chris, knowing that he was going to be uh, given an award, and he was going to be in the same space. Now, I don't know if they've ever been in the same space together since the time that he insulted Jada when she wanted everyone to boycott the Oscars back then. And I mean, he really went hard on her. If you remember the clip, he went hard on her and that. So I'm thinking, as you're saying, yeah, it was an emotional. His head wasn't clear. He wasn't sober in his mind. What do you think, Deb?
Well, I too believe he could have handled it different, but I, I saw I saw myself in him because
Okay,
that day that I sat on that bus and those two women talked about me, I tried to hold it in for as long as I could.
right.
And I had to turn around and verbally attack those two women that
Mm,
spoke about me.
okay,
And in that moment, because that was my moment of coming out, showing my bare head, thinking I was beautiful and everything, and they took it on a whole. They didn't even know if it was by illness or by choice.
right.
Just
But it shouldn't matter.
it
It shouldn't
shouldn't
matter.
matter, but they attacked me so bad, and I
Hmm.
hope they listening.
And you
They attacked,
responded like how Alethea is saying, like,
right,
right? But the difference is you didn't have a mic. Will has a
right.
platform. Is
He
that a
has a
big difference
platform,
that where he could have made this a bigger situation for more people? That this
right?
is that's why I jumped on to do this pop-up. Because you did tell me how you were so offended, but you at that morning you had just had enough courage to
To
get on the bus publicly
without
without
any
your hair,
covering on
without
my
your
head.
right. And they attacked you. And they even said that you were
A dyke,
a dyke, and I mean the rudeness and the people, people. Oh my
It's
God,
insensitive. It's insensitive, and people have not really had a deep understanding of boundaries. So people
mm,
think because they can, they do. And that's what's unacceptable. And until you push back, now we're going to make this about whether he should or shouldn't have,
right,
as opposed to how this culture moves. You
right,
get to, especially look at the technology that we have, the bullying that goes on at the click of a button. People are judging you all day long, and the moment you say something or do something, there's a pouncing on you, and or the idea of canceling culture. People have too much power in a misused way. And
right,
so when you see people pushing back with intolerance, now you want to judge them and how they did that, but you're not looking at the whole picture with a panoramic view. This is
mm,
not just a one layer topic. Let's really open this up. It's not just should he not have done what he did and should Chris not have done. It's a whole panoramic view on
mm,
how we as a culture and a society misuse that ability to have a voice on things that we don't have an understanding about. We don't
that's
have
a
a
good point.
boundary. And
Yeah,
so this is why I'm saying, by Jada having had the courage initially to come out of the turbans and the hats and the coverings and give herself that light, it gave power and strength to other women in a silent war. But
right.
you can still, she's still battling with that war. She's still in that silence. You know what I mean? There's
Yeah.
still
Oh
layers
my
of it that
God.
has not fully healed.
And her, yes. And I mean, the camera immediately went to
to
her. And although I think, and the audience didn't know whether to laugh or to,
No, the audience was in shock.
they
they
were
That's
were
in
what shock
shock.
shocked.
was
And
like.
some of them was saying,
They
oh,
were. They were
Is
like,
this real? Was it
right.
staged? Did it really happen?
Is this
Is
part?
this for publicity, or is it, because that, but even that tells you how bad is culture that we can even stage a thing like that to be fake.
I'm
What is
telling
that
you.
telling you about how we actually operate as a people? Anything goes for the sake of numbers and popularity and credits. What are we saying about ourselves as humans?
well,
That is such an unhuman moment.
Yeah.
I heard that the police asked Chris Rock if he wanted to press charges,
He
and
said
he
no.
said no.
Yeah.
So,
But he
Because that
did.
would bring more
Yeah.
attention to him in a negative too. Because that
Yeah.
means the next layer of that war, every woman
Oh,
who's
oh,
ever suffered would look at how insensitive he is, that you couldn't understand why that man protected his wife.
Yeah.
that even though he shouldn't have done it, he still, in the heat of the moment, was protecting
Yes,
his wife.
he
And
was
he had a
protected.
right
Bottom
to
line,
want to, even if we feel it
Yes.
was wrong that he did, he had
right?
a right to want to protect her
Protect
and show
his
her,
wife.
I
Yes,
got you.
yes,
And so,
that's
Yes.
right. So
so
he was
Chris
kind of between a
had to
rock
be
and
a
a
bigger
hard
man
place.
in that moment.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
was between a rock and a hard place
Hard
because he's
place.
dealing with image. He's dealing with, you just insulted my wife nationally on TV. I shouldn't. What? That's why he kind of chuckled a little bit, because I think he was like, and then he
In
saw
shock.
her. It was like, oh
Yeah.
no, no, brother, this, I got to check you now, because again, we know allegedly what Will and Jada is going through in terms of their marriage, healing their marriage. A lot, they're always in the public, but for
Right.
him, so he was between a rock and a hard place when you think about it. Like, no, because we want our man to stand up for us, to protect us. If had he not did that, Jada might have been like, well, you didn't say anything, you could have said
Right.
something, because
It would
she's
have
very
never
vocal.
gone
And
away.
yeah,
Yeah.
You can't undo that, and you can't take that moment away. That all I'm going to replay in my head is that you didn't protect me in the moment that I was most vulnerable. I was
exactly,
unraveling, and you was like with everybody else in the room, playing it safe.
exactly.
So he didn't play it safe to show her, I got you.
You're
That's
right,
why I'm
sis.
saying the
Sis,
the
you're
the,
right. He
the
didn't play it
balancing
safe.
act
Mm-hmm.
is, in this moment, I'm put in a position, play it safe and do the Hollywood thing, or
Mm-hmm.
be straight up and down raw about this. And
Exactly.
so it sends a message on two platforms
Forms.
that
Yes.
we're in a time that we need to re-examine how
How
much is
we
too
speak.
much, and the power of our positions when we have them. Just because you have them doesn't make it okay to
Yeah.
to leave that boundary. Even comedics have over years talked about, when is it too much, and they know that because that's a thing that's always even asked them in interviews. I've heard Chris Rock talk about when something is too much, just like you've heard Dave Chappelle. You've heard all of us talk about too much, too soon, and
Yeah.
you know
Too
that there's a
little.
boundary, but you so
The
caught up in,
boundary.
you
Right.
caught up in it.
Yes,
And this is
definitely,
the
because
vortex.
with him knowing, with Chris knowing that this was a heated thing between them since 2016 or 2018, when he opened up the Oscars, when that was her choice to boycott the Oscars. She has a voice, freedom of speech, but he used it, and I mean, he went hard. I mean, I listened to it again this morning, and how he connected, about she wasn't invited. And I mean, it was just terrible. So he should have known within his own being that, leave that joke alone. Or if he thought about it on an impromptu on his feet, it
He
was a
didn't
wrong
think.
decision. It
He
was a
didn't
wrong,
think.
he crossed the boundary, because look how long it took Will to get up out his seat. He didn't just jump up.
No.
He sat, the camera went back to Chris. Chris, next you know,
He
Chris
was on
says,
that stage.
uh-oh, or something. He's up there. I mean, it's like you said, the boundary. We cross boundaries all the time, disrespecting our sisters and our brothers. One of the great things, I think, and we're talking about it on Wednesday here, is the Crown Act. The law that has been passed, Holly, bravo, bravo, bravo. And a lot of states, some states didn't get on board, but they will. And so this is so weird, not weird, but how God timed me to get Deborah on to talk about, and I know you guys were busy, to get on to talk about her experience with her having lupus. Lupus is the reason, right? And it should be nobody's business. She decided
Right.
to tell it. But I'm saying, like the women on the bus that insulted you, they insulted you right in your face and had the nerve to already write the script of why you didn't have hair.
Yeah.
Well, see, speaking of that Crown Act, this is the other thing, because Unveiled Unlocked is coming up on our 10th anniversary this summer.
Mhm.
And one of the things that I've actually been wanting to put into the mix of this anniversary is the Crown Act is talking about natural hair. And the thing that's interesting about that is we're still invisible. The
Mhm.
Unveiled Unlocked mission is to include us in the spectrum of beauty from hair to hair free.
Free.
That's
And
so good.
so I'm really going to be reaching out to the I don't know if she's a congressman or what her political position is. She has alopecia, and she's the one that really spearheaded getting this Crown Act signed and in motion. But my
Yes.
next platform is to reach out to her and say, please, by writing this in, put the inclusion of hair to hair free, because it's invisible how we're layered in. We don't fit natural hair, because if we don't have hair at all, what are we? And so
Mm,
it
Right.
should be included that the crown is hair to hair free,
I like that.
because in
Yeah.
the workplace you have women who, and I was talking to a woman in DC, another organization that deals with alopecia, and I was a guest speaker, and one of the women in that organization was saying how she wears a wig Monday to Friday, and on Friday at 5 o'clock when she's in her car she pulls her wig off. She doesn't feel comfortable wearing her crown unveiled at work because of the criticism, like what Jada just experienced. And I think what happened last night in the conversations it's going to spin is going to cause people to also look at the barehead woman in a different light now, because although we know Jada and her table talk, this moment last night has spring loaded a whole nother layer about the crown, the
Yes.
Yes.
unveiled crown. And that's the
Yes.
next part that in the Crown Act needs to be included, that
I
women and
agree.
men who have no hair or partially bare head. And then, by the way, my platform is to change the language. I don't use bald, I use barehead, because
Barehead.
when you look up the dictionary's
I like that.
definition of bald, bald is sick and not in control. That's the definition.
Yes.
I'm not either one of those, even if I lost my hair to an illness. If I'm embracing who I am, then I'm a barehead, because there's just like the difference between naked and nude. One is vulgar and one is considered art. So here for me, the barehead is illuminating that we have embraced who
That's
we are and
beautiful.
calling ourselves by the name. So you call us what we want to be called.
Yes.
So in that Crown
Yes.
Act, there should be the
Yes.
barehead woman and men
Yes. Give
who have
yourself that
unveiled their
identity.
heads, and we, whether it be by choice or illness causing us not to have a choice, that's where the language
Yes.
comes in, putting into
Yes.
act that we have also a leg on the spectrum of the Crown Act. Because
Yes.
in
Yeah.
everything, whether it be the runway, and by the way, Deborah was talking about Pat Evans in the 60s. She was on the cover of Isaac Hayes' album
Album.
with the shaved
Yes.
head, and I keep in touch with her. So she's been in, supporting
Yes.
us over the years too, because some 40 years prior to me launching Unveiled Unlocked, she did the same thing on the runway, where she was like, no, and she unveiled
Wow.
her head, and she was calling herself a bald head beauty. When I reached out to her and said to her, you know, I'm using this word differently now, barehead beauty,
Hmm.
because barehead beauties and brothers have a different signature on changing the mindset, because just like weight loss, you have to change a mindset
Yes.
in order for you to really
Absolutely.
be on that journey successfully. And I need to
Absolutely.
change the mindset and the perspective on this. And that's
Hmm.
why I think this conversation was really worthy of me kind of climbing out of
I know.
yesterday's intensity, but because we really
Yes.
need to change our language.
We do, we do, and the congresswoman is supposed to be on Wednesday. Through my friend, I don't know if you know Lisa Skinner. She has a bald head. Do you guys know Lisa Skinner?
I know the name.
I
She
I
know.
know the
sells
name.
what do you call that healthy stuff? Anyway, she had a problem when her two daughters was going to Harlem School of the Arts, and they were always in the Nutcracker, the ballet. And for the last 5 or 6 years, so this past year or so, the woman who is a sister, is the director, said that no, your daughters can't dance. They were ready, had everything ready, they had rehearsed. She says, unless you take their braids out and put their hair in a bun.
Mm,
So
mm,
Lisa was like, they've been dancing every year. Their cornrows are always neatly in a bun. And she was like, no. So it became very controversial. Lisa took it
Wow.
to the top. She made the news. They interviewed her. She fought this thing, and she still has some type of legislation that she started, because I called her the same time I called you guys. And she's like, yeah, she says, well, my friend is the congresswoman. And so she
Okay.
was busy because it's a busy season for them. And so she said, I'm gonna try to get on for Wednesday. And so when I lock with her, you already know her, but I think that merging has to happen so that this whole, I mean, to insert, and it's right, you're still being invisible. Everything's moving on, but the bare heads are not. Like, what are you doing? Is a stigma? No. Yes, Deb.
Yeah, it's another sister several years
Thank you,
ago.
Ine, for thank you, Ine, for posting that.
Yeah, I think it was 2016. Sheila Bridges wrote a book,
Hmm.
The Ball Mermaid.
Oh, really?
Right. And she comes right out of Harlem, right from 116th Street.
Yeah, interior
And she
designer.
came and we met and we talked. And she told me about her experience. And she was like an interior designer. And because she didn't have no hair, they didn't, she had to wear a wig, just like Alethea said. She
Wow.
had to wear a wig going back and forth to work. She tells her story.
Wow.
That's what
And
I'm
the book
talking
is
about.
called The Ball Mermaid by Sheila Bridges.
That's
Wow.
what I'm
That is
talking about. There's so many stories that are not being publicly told so that it can take the stigma and the sting off of
You can see
this
that.
thing called shame. It's really
yes.
Oh no.
activating shame all day long because and people say things like, "Oh, sticks and stones," but words do hurt and
Words
they do
always
land.
hurt.
They
Absolutely.
should be
And the
behind that
toll is
red
they
thing.
pile up over time and you don't even
Yes.
see it.
Yes. 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 The
The
breakdown.
Ball
It's a
Mermaid.
breakdown. It breaks you down. And so, listen, I know that with Unveil Unlocked, I know that
Sheila Bridges.
the community is I'm gonna mute Deb because she's talking. I'll unmute her in a minute. Um, the community, I lost my train of thought. I lost my train of thought. But all right, Deb, it's okay. But I know that, oh, this is what I want to ask you. You embrace a whole community, not just women, but men
Yes.
in your community. And what
I
was
do.
so awesome, how Deb said, women who are going through this and this is their early stages and they're really embarrassed and they feel shame. You guys embrace them, love on them, and then you guys got your barber license and you shave the excess hair to give them and say, look, I'm your sister. You pray over them. I think that is so awesome. So you have men too, because women
Yes.
sometimes don't think that men go through emotional mental stress when they start getting bald, because a lot of men get bald in their 30s, the receding hairline. And so you have men that you build up too. Tell us a little bit about that, and then I'm gonna let you go because I know you're tired.
That's okay. Thank you. But so I always felt that there was a need to have a co-ed conversation because we often want to segregate when we coexist. We live on a planet together, so why would we separate that? If you have an issue with beauty, why wouldn't a man have an issue with his beauty, his aesthetic? And we often diminish that because women go through so much that we minimize their pain. And then we're doing the same thing that we're saying that they're doing to us.
You're right.
If we don't give a voice in all fairness to both sides of the story, then how are we any different than the people that we are saying shame us and suppress us and all of these things? There's equal
Facts,
value in
facts.
healing.
Yes,
So if you're healthy and he's healthy, then we can coexist in a healthy relationship. It also brings a sensitivity to a subject. When I had gotten a grant in 2013, one of the things I did was a 5-part series of talk shows, and I put a different conversation each day. One of them was I had couples who were barehead. So
mm,
there was a couple that was just newly dating, there was a couple that was married, there was two single. So I wanted to show the perspective on the journey on both ends of it.
yes.
But sidebar to that. So I had done a show in one of these projects that we did at the Museum of Storytelling in the apartments above. Older white gentleman who was a doctor comes up to me and he saw a painting that I had of mine on the wall because I'm an artist by trade. In
Mm-hmm,
my painting is a barehead woman lounging on a couch. So
mm-hmm.
it opened the dialogue because he said, "Well, I have a toupee on." And I have friends and family who in 20 years plus people in my practice have never seen what's under my toupee. He goes, I'm
Mm,
a biker and a swimmer, and it's becoming more and more difficult as I move through the things that I like to do, because having to keep this look and this persona up is really wearing at me. You just changed the game for me in taking it off and making me realize that I don't
yeah.
any longer have to wear my head covered. When I did some research, I found that there was another silence with men. There were 3,000 men per day getting toupees, but they would have other people from assistants to women in their lives
For going to get
ordering
it.
these toupees for them so that their name wasn't on the mail, so that no one would know they were the ones wearing these hair pieces. So there
Mm,
are a lot more men in silence, just like men who are going through abusive relationships. There's a silence on the man's voice in
yes,
things too, because we're often just putting the emphasis on
On the women.
ourselves.
that's
So for
true.
me, I wanted that dialogue to be that men have beauty issues too.
Yes, that is so, so true. And a lot of
Yeah.
times the awareness is, I mean, I just really believe, and I do believe that your mission, all of you queens, is global. It has to go global, not just in the US,
Oh,
everywhere,
it is. It is. We so
everywhere.
I have a group of African men that follow us, and one day they called me on Facebook on the
Hmm.
phone, and I didn't recognize who it was reaching out, but they sent me a message and said, "We watch you from over here. You should come to Africa and visit us, because the young women in their 30s are shaving their hairline off to put these lace front wigs on, and they're not even embracing their cultural identity anymore because they're watching you guys in the Americas and your aesthetic, and they don't understand. So when we
Wow.
show them you, the women in our village, the elders, come back and share what you guys are doing
Wow, that's
and show
awesome.
them about their beauty. So it is global. And I
That's
launched Global Barehead Beauty Day 2 years after we launched Unveiled
awesome.
Unlocked. So every year on August 17th, Global Barehead Beauty Day is a global thing. It doesn't matter the culture, the gender, the age.
Yes.
That day I give to that, and I offer barbers to share their platform to give that haircut to that man or woman and illuminate them and their beauty for that
Yes,
day.
that's awesome.
So we
What
we
an
took a
incredible.
5 borough trip all
Wow.
over New York and went to barbershops in every borough, and I had conversations on camera with them. So I'm going to show clips of that during our anniversary
That's
dinner
so
this
powerful.
year. But it really is time for,
The
it takes
inclusion
so much
piece.
for people to hear you, because I've been
Yes.
saying this for 10 years, and look at where we're at. It took the last night to bring this conversation to another level. And
Yes.
I understand it, but it takes so much. You keep plugging away at things, and it takes so much for people to finally hear you.
Yeah, and timing is everything. And I know our timing is not the Lord's timing, but at the same token, I get what you're saying, because to exclude a group of people who, it's almost like you don't exist, right? So
Right.
it's almost like you guys are invisible. You don't exist. And we need to have the inclusion piece. We need to include, as this Crown Act bill that was signed a couple of weeks ago, and we'll be talking about it Wednesday night at 7 o'clock on the
I
Bravo
would love to meet the
broadcast.
congresswoman and talk with her.
Absolutely. And if you're not busy, you can come on the platform,
I
as
would love
just
to.
join the panel. I
Yes.
think that would be awesome. You're welcome too, Deborah, to come on the platform and really, really, and that's what this platform is about. You people get channels on YouTube for several reasons, right? Sometimes you become huge with it. My goal is to be obedient to what I'm supposed to be doing with my life. My
Amen.
life is to help people. My life is to empower women. Why? Because
Yes.
I'm a woman and I've
Yes.
been through so much. Notice I said through, right? Not stuck in any bracket right
No,
now.
no,
I'm
no,
through
no.
that thing. Glory to
Yeah.
God, right? So my voice and my platform, I'll build one just so we can talk. Just so someone who's broken, who knows who will see this, who is suffering right now,
Right. Right.
silence, right? They'd be like, oh my God, there is, wait a minute, how can I get in touch? So as I say that, how can we get in touch with you guys?
So Unveiled Unlocked is our name on all the platforms from Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Unveiled Unlocked at gmail.com is my email. I'm actually in the process of building our website so we can launch it during the anniversary. We're doing a 4-day virtual conference in October, the 7th through the 10th, but we're doing our anniversary and Global Barehead Beauty Day August 17th. And then we'll be on the stages at Harlem Week and Great Day in Harlem
Yes.
doing our annual thing.
Yes.
And so I welcome people to find us. Unveiled Unlocked. You can even just Google us and find us on many different platforms. We're always visible and active on the back end, whether we're on a stage or not. We're still always doing the work because you
Yes.
can't help it. When we show up with our heads unveiled, it automatically opens a conversation. I
It
just
does.
want
Some
to
of
just
you
say
have
this
painted
short.
heads. Some of
Yeah,
you have beautiful artwork on your head and the clothing and just the aura that you guys, Ine, let me just acknowledge. Ine, thank you so much. She said this is by far one of the favorite channels on YouTube at Bravo Sheila, is addressing the whole person. Thank you so much, Ine. And that is my heart,
Yes.
to address
Yes.
the whole person, beauty inside out. And so, as you were saying, you got to line up. Listen, you guys are welcome. You can come back anytime.
thank you.
If there's
Thank
something you
you.
want to talk about, all you got to do is say, Coach Sheila, we need to talk about this. Or
I
I
would love
yield my platform to you. It's worth it, right?
Yeah.
And I know that even Wednesday, I'm gonna see if she's confirmed. But we need to get this out. And you're right. Why did last night trigger? But like I said, things happen for a
For
reason,
a
right?
reason.
For a
It
reason.
was a reason.
And I'm watching the Oscars, and I'm like, oh, I did like that when I
You
saw
know
her
what this
face.
was? And though there was a life taken, this is like how the George Floyd situation triggered globally for white and black folks to see racism. Like
It's
we've
true.
been talking about it forever, and it was an invisible soundbite that, oh,
Yep.
we're just complaining. Now,
Yes.
having been in the pandemic and forced to watch things in a different lens,
Yes.
force people to see racism in a different
Different
lens
way.
than ever
Yes.
Yes.
before.
Absolutely.
So last night forced, even with the popularity and visibility of Jada and Will, it forced you to see the pain with a
Yes.
different lens.
Yes, it did. And I always felt the pain because I would always see Deb in Harlem, and her and I are very close. We've been friends for over
50.
50 years, 55 years, right? We've lived together, our children. I mean, we have history. And so when I seen her and she was so depressed and so broken, so much depressed to the point that it was affecting her health beyond what it would have affected. Had she been in a better headspace, her body might not have agreed. It would not have agreed with what her mind was saying to her. And I was like, Deb, you're beautiful. And she's like, I've been so sick and da da da. So I felt her pain. And every time we're out at Harlem Week, I'm always waiting for you guys' performance and the beautiful poetry. Y'all got the man with the guitar, something going him. And it's just so beautiful, the poetry. And then people run up to you and all around you with microphones because you're fascinating. But again, it's time for it to go to the next level.
Next
It's
level.
Level.
time
Yep.
to raise the bar. It's time for to be included inside of the Crown Act conversation, right?
Right.
Because you guys are not invisible, right? I was telling the other night how I had got braids and my hair's kind of soft and the whole center of my head became bald. Well, let me tell you, I was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. I couldn't cover it. I couldn't. And they was like, well, it's all right. I said, no, you can see it when I go like that. If someone's taller than me, they'll see it. And if I'm sitting, I went through all this, not my whole head, just that one big spot. And I knew, I was like, oh my God, that had never happened. That feeling of embarrassment or shame or really knowing what a woman's
See what I
crown
mean? You
means.
had to sign into that for it
Yeah.
to actually launch.
Happy.
Shame does not exist unless you agree that it is.
And I did
That's
at
what
that
you gave
moment.
power to. And that's
Yes.
what I'm talking about when our bodies change every 7 years. And we don't know the bodies we're in because we're being reintroduced to ourselves every 7 years. But
Mm-hmm.
who talks about that?
Yes.
Holistic is whole living.
Mistake.
You can't
Yes.
live in pieces because the
Right.
fracturing of that
Oh, that'll
makes
preach.
you in
You can't live in
denial.
pieces. That'll preach. You better stop. You giving me all these thoughts. That will preach. You can't live in pieces. Don't start.
You
We'll
are
have some other
whole.
kind of turn on this.
I'm saying, I'm saying,
We
Absolutely.
got the
Listen, Facebook.
terminology for
Facebook,
you.
I am not ignoring you guys. Hello, Shell Bell. Hello, Judy, Beatrice. Those of you I don't see and do see these. Thank you for being here. This conversation is good. If you like it, send us some hearts. Thank you for being here. Carry on. What did you say, my sister?
No, I'm saying that when we did 1 year at Harlem Week, it's just human was the theme for that day, because I was talking about shame, I was talking about denial. I was, we marched at one of the African Day parades, and a little girl about 3 years old wearing a hijab. She was with a group of Muslim
Yep.
families.
Yep.
She followed us in front of the Schomburg Library where we were doing an interview on camera about what we are. She comes up to me with her sister. The little girl's sister was maybe about 8, and the older one nudges her towards me and says, "Go ahead, tell her." So she says to me, I look like you guys under this. And she points to her
Ooh.
head. She goes, "And I think I'm beautiful. Could I join your group? Do you allow little girls like me to be part of this? Because
Wow.
maybe if you show my family that I'm okay with this, they'll see me as beautiful instead of being in pain about my hair not being there. Because my mom cries every night." I had to hold my tears back and I had to
Yeah.
look away, and
Oh
she
my.
grabs onto my leg and just hugs me.
Oh my. What a moment.
She saw us in the parade and followed us,
Followed
left
up.
her family. And then, as I'm in tears, her family comes from both directions. The men are coming over with the bow ties, and the women are coming with the hijab from the other direction. And then they just came over to us and converged. And then we just had a hugging match for like 15 minutes. The camera guy had to wait because there was no words. Everybody
Wow.
just started taking turns hugging us in line.
So
That's
how
the
many
work that
other little
happens when
girls?
we show up.
How many other
You know
little
what I mean?
girls?
Yep.
Little
And
I
boys.
you know what
had
it
I
says?
had an incident like
You
that
don't
too.
know who's going through a pain, because initially when I started, I thought I was talking to people who, like Deborah, you can see where their hair loss is. I
Right.
started talking to people who had mothers and sisters and all kinds of other people in their lives who were going through it.
Going
It
through it.
was no longer just about who I can see, it was the unseen that I
Yeah.
actually had to start learning to speak to.
Yeah. Deborah, you said you it's something like that happened with you?
Yeah, with the young when my granddaughter was going to school on 128th Street, I was coming. I had dropped her off to school and was walking back towards 125th Street, and the little girl stopped me, and she had a hat on, and she took her hat off. She said, "Don't we look like sisters?"
How
And I
cute is
took a
that?
picture. I have a picture. I posted it on Facebook. I
How
have a
cute
picture
is
with her.
that?
And she was like, "Don't we look like sisters? Because your head looked just like mine." And I
Oh
was like, "Oh
my.
my God." And I asked her mother, "Is it okay
Take
for
a
me to
picture.
take a picture with her?"
That is so awesome. So let me ask you, ladies, you queens, from last night, where do you think this conversation should go and where do you think it's going to go? Now, we know the media is going to really harp on this for as long as they can milk it. And
But
poor Jade is going to be in the midst of it, and she's going to have another feeling, right?
but
Because
see,
now,
the media is going to take it in a whole different direction.
absolutely,
It's going to be so negative and so blown out of proportion that
it already
we,
is. If you
yeah,
Google it, it's on
yeah,
every news cover,
yeah,
it already is. And
So
my thing is, my heart goes out to Jada.
Jada
And
and
I
Will.
think of Will. I think of Will, but her being in the shoes, right? She has to walk it out in shoe leather, I call it. Like when you got to walk alone, nobody can't kind of up. You got to walk that thing out in shoe leather. And so she's at another point. I was thinking, I said, oh, it would be awesome if I could
Awesome.
find Jada and bring her into you and
Yes,
introduce her. She should
I
know
would
that
love that.
it's
I
a
That's
would
what I
group
would,
of
love that.
people.
she and I follow Jada and I follow each other on Instagram and Facebook. So I have been, having my little sound bites and watching her on the behind scenes too. And I actually reached out to her production team to ask about having either a Zoom or a red table talk moment because of our anniversary, and because now that she's embraced this publicly, she is one of us, right?
Yes,
And
yes,
so it's always daunting when people are on a particular level to really sift through how many people are coming after them. So I get
true.
she may not have seen or
Exactly.
heard, but this platform has shape shifted. So to your question, what will and is already happening is, of course, this is news media because it's sensationalism. But in spinning backwards, what has to happen, like what we're doing, is those who are about wellness,
Yeah.
those who
Right.
are about
Healing.
authenticity, those who are about really shaping and redefining this
Yes.
on a positive
Yes.
networking level. The work we're doing right now is what has to also happen while everybody's got full ears and attention on this,
True.
that we should have these dialogues and
True.
then post them on all of our platforms, and then
Yes.
have them in the homes, in the
Yes.
cafes, in other spaces
I
where
think we
people are
should do
having
this
those
again
conversations.
and again and
We
again. If
have
you
to,
guys are
because the
willing,
iron is
we can
hot.
talk. We can
And I
talk
wonder
about these
how many
situations.
women that was at the Oscars last night with a wig on that have a head that look like mine. I'm
Yeah.
sure it's a bunch
Or
of
a
them
problem with their hair,
or a
or
problem.
insecure, whatever the case may be. On
They
Facebook,
they should reach out.
Beatrice Moody is saying they need to have a close round table between them. And she's saying wow to the comments. And yeah, people are listening and watching, and we need to just come back and keep doing it and keep making noise about it. And again, I yield my platform to you guys so we can chop it up and make it, to the point that it'll
Agree.
have to be viral, because it'll be too much feed for people to ignore,
Right.
right?
Right,
Right.
right.
So
The
we can talk
squeaky
about
wheel.
that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We can
So
talk about that. We definitely,
yeah.
your anniversary is coming up. We can talk about that to give it a buzz. I'm not huge on this platform, but a lot of people on the platform have embraced me.
No, you are
Because
huge. Let's
I
change
am,
the
I
language.
mean,
Yeah.
in terms of I'm new, I should say. I'm new to YouTube on this side, right? My music, everyone knows me from Sheila Ingram, the singer, right? And or the teacher and all of the things. But I'm kind of new, maybe my fifth month, I think, and I'm doing pretty well. And I have wonderful people like Ine and Samantha, Michelle. These ladies met me on someone else's platform, Sir
Platform.
Hale Speaks, and I watch him. And so that's how you get like a little tribe on YouTube, by going over to other platforms and being in the comments and looking at the information and sharing what you feel. And the great thing about it is you can say what you feel. You don't have to be a clone to anybody else. It's okay. And so I want to continue this conversation. I'm so grateful that you came on so quick. It was
Thank you
sitting
for
on me
having me.
because as I watched it last night and I just had Deb on, I was like, look at the timing, Lord. And then Wednesday, we're still talking about the crown. And then,
Wow.
so it's timing, and we got to just pay attention to what
To
God is
what
saying.
our surroundings.
We're
Divinely pay
surrounded.
attention,
Yes.
divinely pay attention, because we get overwhelmed and inundated because there's so many things coming at us like debris, that you can miss things unless you're brought back to the center. And I think, I say this about anytime something negative happens, the mantra I give myself is, in a minute I'm gonna be thankful, because
Mm,
things happen for a reason.
that's
And when you
true.
change the perspective on the negative into a positive, you will
Yeah.
find that why it happened, was because it was needed. You couldn't have
Yeah.
heard me if you hadn't have heard her and seen her. That
Yeah.
pain that you saw in that soundbite will also resound to all of the women who've ever felt shame like she was feeling.
Yeah.
Everyone saw the pain in that
Yes.
broken smile. She
Yeah.
went from sitting there in a
Yeah.
To
in a
her
regal
faith.
moment to a
Yes.
broken moment.
And
and
she,
and
yeah.
all the cameras are on her, all eyes are on her. That is
But she
worthy
kept her
of.
class and her composure, though.
But because she's had that
She has
training to
to.
do that.
She has to.
But
Yeah.
we
She
don't
has to.
know what she's like in the bathroom this morning, in the
Oh,
shower.
forget about it. We could
Like,
imagine. We could
we know,
imagine.
we've had experience.
And she
Yeah.
woke up. It's almost like when someone passes away and you wake up and it's surreal. It's like, no, no, no. Because now every feed on every channel, every newspaper, every news channel is talking about it.
Talking about it.
But
It
she's a
is
smart
happening.
woman. So to your point, I think what's going to happen, since she does have the red table talk,
She
this will be an undoubted conversation that she will have
Yes.
on that red table. And I think, as a smart woman, strategy wise, it would be important. Now, this would be really dope. And I'm just putting this in the universe.
Mhm.
What if she had a red table talk with Chris Rock?
Ooh.
wow.
Mm.
That's next level. That's what next level looks like.
That
Because
is.
if you
That's
really
true.
want to do something with your platform
Because that
in
was my
life,
next question I was going to ask. What do you think where Chris Rock should go from here? But you just put it together. You just put it together.
Wow.
that would be the ultimate table talk. And tell me also, let's talk about marketing, because that's a thing too. On
Yes.
that, if somebody knew in a promo that they were going to have a red table talk and have him come on, how
Mm,
many people would not be bent on watching that?
mm,
Tell me
mm.
that.
Wow.
And so it gives also, as black people, it gives us a human moment to also rewind this and not make us villains all the time in the eyes of others.
Others, yes.
Yes,
Because right
absolutely.
now there are
Right
a
there.
lot of black folks that are feeling shame about, we finally getting into the Oscars and now you do this, and you know
Uh,
what, you're missing the point.
Missing the
Point.
If
point.
you take up
That's
that,
right.
you're also missing the point. So to show on a black talk show, on a black moment, that they can also come together and redeem that moment by coming together and having a conversation, because that would really be the next level on leveling up what we should do with this. We should now ask them to find some healing moment when they get
Yes,
past the dust
Right.
laying, and then come back and go, now let's talk.
yeah.
Because
And
I've
it,
Yeah.
seen Jada do that with other people on her
she
platform.
has, she
So
has,
we
she
know her to
has.
do that. This is that moment. Like, since you've been talking openly about the hair loss, and let's call it not loss, hair freedom.
Hair
Because
freedom.
when you embrace something, you
Yeah,
take the
you
negative
take the
off
identity
and
to
you
it.
power positive
Yeah,
it.
you take the identity on. Absolutely.
Thank you,
Absolutely.
Alethea.
Absolutely. And it's okay, let me see. Someone here is saying good morning, Mrs. Good morning. Good morning to you. Absolutely. Absolutely. And the other thought that I thought about uh with this whole situation, you're right when it comes to the, I would hope, and this is probably not going to happen much, this could have been minimized had they talked about the insult that was thrown at her in 2018.
It'll come up now. Trust
The
me. They're going
emotion.
to
So
unearth
hopefully,
everything.
yeah, but hopefully lesson learned. Like talk, communicate. You guys in this big world making all this money, living this life, you losing touch with
With
yourself.
the,
You're losing touch with the humane part of a person. This could have been minimized, but it was already a heated situation. So you could imagine when Chris Rock took the mic, to the stage,
yeah.
and they were sitting right up front. The emotion already had started in Jada. The feeling had come back up as if
But
it
it
was
had to
yesterday.
happen, just like you can't stop death. When it's supposed to happen,
Yeah.
It
you can't
happened.
run, you can't hide.
Yep.
This couldn't have happened for
At
better reasons
Anymore.
moving forward, because it's
yes.
Right.
allowing us to do the work that we needed to
That's what I
do
mean by
anyway.
lesson
So
learned.
that's why
Yes.
I'm saying in a minute we're going to be thankful that his ignorance put a platform forward on a next level.
Yeah.
So I'm going to get over the anger and the shock, and then I'm going to say, now what do we do? And
Yeah.
this is where we begin.
Something just came to my mind. Maybe I'm mistaken. Is Chris Rock the individual who put the movie out with all the different hairs,
Here, mhm.
and he
Yeah.
went
Yeah,
to
right. But
Thailand and China?
yeah, but
It
that,
was about
because
no good hair, bad hair, no
right,
good
Yeah.
hair.
because of his daughters. His daughters were having an issue about their identity, and he wanted to show them to embrace themselves as beautiful black women. But it was missed because he made it more entertainment, and it
Right.
really missed the
Then
mark
truthful.
on the power of truth and identity. So he really didn't have an
Yeah.
understanding of our African center,
Yeah.
our culture, and
Hmm.
it went somewhere else, and
Yeah.
it got ratings and a notoriety, but it really wasn't what it could have been.
And
And
it's just so
that's the
ironic
problem.
that this would happen to him last night when he himself had marketed something about
Good
Afro
hair, bad hair.
Afrocentric hair and bad hair, good hair, and here he is right in the fight of it now, right?
Yep.
It's like, I mean, how
But
could
it
that
just
happen?
shows you
Yeah,
how things can go, because so easily people might have an identity crisis or platform, and then in a moment they can lose sight of that.
true.
I mean, that's also the other part. I'm going to be fair. People are human and they're flawed. And so even though you might see on one hand as a father and a leader in your home, you still missed the point when you came on stage to do the work you do. Like, there's a balancing act with this.
Yeah,
You're human, but now what do we do with this? Let's just take
Yeah.
that and spin
yes.
it differently,
And
because we
like you
can
said
spend all
earlier,
day on that.
boundaries. We said earlier, we have to learn boundaries with our sisters and our brothers, with anyone we come in contact with in life. There's a boundary, and when people don't understand boundary, then there's no rules. They're just free and
No, then
open.
you have anarchy because really
Listen, it's bad.
chaos is like a tornado. It
Yeah.
whips and destroys.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I just felt, watching this last night, and I almost was going to turn it off because I was watching those that were winning, and it was pretty nice. I saw Sheila E. on the Cougars, and it was a nice little setup. And they said this is the first time that African Americans produced the Oscars. So they
Yeah.
was like, well, you won't hear too much about that. So
That's why I said it's important how to reshape this and spin it back.
yeah,
That will change that because I don't think we can put our words on that quite yet.
yeah,
The verdict isn't quite out on that.
yeah,
It's how
absolutely.
we then handle it moving forward. That's why I said if Jada does her red table with him, that'll change that. That'll kind of
I hope
take
that I
some of
hope they
that
get
off.
that, because that would be incredible, because
Yeah.
healing would take place, understanding, and in a
And
relationship repaired,
education.
and
Yes.
relationship, because I'm about relationship, right? A relationship
And she's
prepares.
about educating people too. So
She
that
is.
would really be a great.
A powerful thing, and it would also show the rest of those who are watching this playing into that sensationalism how to stop, because you're feeding it, and that, like my friends always said, if you don't feed it, it won't grow. You keep
Absolutely.
feeding that, you're stoking that fire, and it doesn't have to be. This is an opportunity for us to really be seen when we've been unseen so long, that
Yeah.
we can take that in another direction too.
Right, right. This has been a wonderful chat. I'm so grateful, so very grateful that,
Thank you for
and
having us.
yeah, no, I'm so grateful that you came on, because it was a pop up. It was
Yeah.
definitely a pop up. It just was sitting on me. I was like, no, Lord, you know, and he was like, nope, talk about it, talk about it. And I would have jumped on and kind of talked about it, but it's nothing like having queens with you, and different perspectives, and us agreeing, and giving out different perspectives about what's going on, because we are women, and like you said, there are men who are suffering with the alopecia, or
Yes, they are.
people lose their hair because of cancer. It's a list of, I could imagine in your community, how people have lost, not lost, what did you say, freed
Hair
from
free.
hair
Yep,
freedom. I'm
That's
learning the language, I'm getting there. And so I think it's just an incredible thing that you're doing. It's awesome how you're doing. Let me see. Someone is on, and let me put, because we put comments up here. Will is a
was a
hero.
hero. Hmm.
And what else? Facts, facts. Okay. All right, Gerald. Thank you for stopping by. It's a gentleman here. And so, yeah,
okay.
yes, thank you for stopping by. And I think that we continue to have this conversation, and whatever way that I could be of assistance to help push Unveiled Unlocked,
Thank you.
I just offer myself and my platform to you. This is a woman's channel, and I mean, men are welcome. But the fact that women, so many of our women are young women, and the
Yeah.
YouTube streets, they're talking about the modern day women. I'm not going to open that up right now, because it's huge, a big talking point on in the YouTube streets, on the Manosphere's channel, talking about the modern day woman versus the traditional woman. It's a lot going on. And we as women, right? And I'm sure I'm the elder of the two. Oh no, Deb might be the elder
I'm the
of the two
elder.
right now. I'm usually the elder. We have a responsibility, right, to pass on, because
Yes.
what we have and what's been given to us does not belong to us.
That's
It's
right. That's
in
what
us to
legacy
give it
is.
away, to give it away. And so we're going to continue this conversation. I
Yes.
thank you, thank you. Listen,
Thank
guys, thank
you.
you, and YouTube for being here.
Thank
Facebook,
you.
thank you so much. I really appreciate you guys stopping by this morning. You ladies stay right there while I sign off. Ine and all of you in the chat, thank you so very, very much. I appreciate your presence. Don't move, ladies. Don't move.